Hey YouTube. I woke up and I missed Tommy's podcast, his hangout about black violence. Why is it being allowed? It's being allowed because the big payoff. The baby boomers right now are retiring. Over about the next 5 to 10 years will be the absolute retirement of baby boomers across the planet. The planet. This is 10 to 20 million people across the planet a year, if I remember correctly. Something like that for a decade, because China has hella baby boomers. We owe a dick ton of money to China. This is why they don't like the fact that Trump was elected. There is no guarantee Trump's going to make good on our municipal bonds. That means the bonded indebtedness taken on by cities. There is no guarantee the bonded indebtedness of various the agencies of various states, because they get credit, to run their operations and then pay back. Every man has his debts, as in the book Ruska. Every man has his debts. And then there's the bonded indebtedness of the federal government. And all of this has to pay off, and it has to pay off at a profit. All of this debt is really is held by banks or whatever, but at the end of the day, it is held by old people who are about to retire. All that has to go to the retirees. Call it pensioners, call it whatever you want to call it. These people gave their money to various companies. These companies supposedly invested this in sound investments. We are now finding out these were not sound investments. Decade after decade, every few years, we find out that these companies did not invest it in something that could absolutely, positively pay off. And one of the reasons why is because we're finding out that there was apparently some massive plan by the highest levels of world economics to roll over and roll up all the debt of the species into some new form of currency system or something like that. And it's looking like China was a major part of this. That that all the biggest banks in the world are a part of this, and that this absolutely had to do, I'm thinking, with it's something like the China Land Bank, and the value of their arable land being used as some kind of asset base in the carbon tax and trade plot. Like the Agenda 21 carbon tax and trade plot, China would get to fake their numbers. So they would have the most arable land in the world. They would have they would have more land than you could throw humans at, all arable. And they would be extremely wealthy. We would too, and that's why they're buying so much open tracts of land in our country. They're getting it, land and water. They're getting it. They bought a tons and tons of gold, the country of China, and now they need arable land. They need control of arable land, and Trump is a major problem for this. They don't have enough people to initiate their plan anywhere they have colonies, whether it's in Africa or whether it's all these Chinese colonies here. And I do mean that. I absolutely mean that. These enclaves of communist Chinese people who've moved to the West nice and quietly over about the last decade to some teen years. These are practically colonies. They build services mostly directed toward one another. They are holding wealth. They Among American Chinese, these people are notably different culturally. This is something you just have to be around long enough in your life to know that. The payoff has to happen. These cities, the top 12 cities of America, have a problem. They have major, major, major black violence. This cannot be known. Nobody can know this. I know this because I've spoiled this for them. I personally have figured out ways of spoiling this plan. And what it is every time you spread stories about college students in Philadelphia being like a Temple, I believe is in Philly, if I remember right, being killed, being shot, being beat up, being robbed with frequency. Just all of these incidences of white people being pulled out of cars, the home invasions, the house, the greater St. Louis area it's just this affliction zone of random crime and violence. That Ferguson was nothing. These people are looking at their investments. There's major people looking at these investments, and when they see somebody like me tweet, "Philadelphia is a very dangerous city. Do not send your children to Temple University," with a link to a Colin Flaherty YouTube video, and then it says bonds, so that the bots look for any tweet that says bonds. And then they read the words, "Philadelphia is a dangerous city." These bots can read these words in tweets. It's only 140 characters. That's why it exists. This is another thing I know. I know somebody who does enough in advertising that they told me Facebook and Twitter are a problem if you're a data gatherer, because they twist their results. And they are not open to what the transparency about what's actually trending on their platforms. And so people who do market research and have to use the internet to do so, and use various algorithms to do market research, it gets all fucked up once you start including Twitter and Facebook, because the trends don't make sense. What people are looking for doesn't make sense, because Facebook and Twitter twist the information. They alter it. All of these cities can't pay out. Nobody wants the bonded indebtedness of most of these major cities, or at least this has been the whole thing until Trump got elected. This was the whole crisis that we were coming up to. This is still the crisis. These bonds will never get paid. There's nothing we can do. We can't turn the clock back. There's no hope. There's no hope. This had to have started in like the 80s. That the method that the Clintons had of just locking people up, that was good. That was going to work. That was working. That was going to work. It was going to continue to work. But now, because journalists work with euphemisms about all the black riots in high schools. These are just fights. Large group of youth fight. I could find a racial riot every week in a high school or middle school across America. Teachers unions have had to finally, it wasn't until literally about 2016 or 2015 that they finally started admitting, in places like Philadelphia, New Jersey, Chicago, that teachers are being hurt at levels that it's just there's nothing that it doesn't make sense. The insurers that the teachers union requires payments to, these people are like, how are all these people getting beaten up, and why don't we have police reports? If these people are being assaulted at their job, why are there not police reports? The teachers unions won't go to the police about it. They won't have these kids arrested and taken out of class because they're violent sociopaths who are poorly socialized and are a danger to other students. No, these are the most cowardly, useless people in society. They will leave those kids in there with the fucking wolves and leave that teaching job. Because they do. That's what they do. Year after year after year. Now we have the proof positive. All these rioting bastards in the streets. I've done this. I've done it on Twitter. I've seen my shit reposted over and over and over again by bots looking for hashtags. So if you want to come at me with some stupid shit, I've done it. I've already fucked you guys. I already fucked your cities. People like me are too fucking smart for you. We're sabotaging all of this shit. And now you have to have law and order. These police departments, they require a payout from bonded indebtedness. Those fire departments, they require their pensions from bonded indebtedness being paid off. There are municipal bonds that those sheriff's departments, they want their fucking retirement. You're fucking with the forces of nature. All of these imbeciles in the National Alliance of Black Journalists or National Association of Black Journalists, the teachers unions, there's, let's see, who else is lying? People like the mayor of Baltimore and all of these high-level black high muckety mucks in all these cities who shine on all this shit and are like, oh, you don't understand, our youth, they need more basketball. No. These are swaths, these neighborhoods, some of these black neighborhoods go back a long time. They're going to get bulldozed. They're going to get gentrified because over the next decade, people are going to say, fuck you and your cause. Fuck the cause. And they're going to start locking these fuckers up. Oh, home invasion? No, you don't. It doesn't matter that nobody was there. If somebody was there, you probably would have killed them, raped them, lit them on fire, like is becoming more and more and more normal. No, we're sending you away for a long time. All of this, like, oh, police, they're super racist. Nobody believes that shit anymore. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it anymore. The power of the reinsurers, the people who insure these cities for all the riots, all the damage, these people aren't liking this either. These cities aren't liking that their costs of insurance are going up. They can't handle that. Chicago can't handle that forever. There's going to be a number of cities that they can't handle that forever. If jobs come back, if all these manufacturing jobs come back, I guarantee you will find some of the most fascinating stories about employers looking up information about people online. There's going to be a generation of you millennials that you'll never work. You decided to pose with a blunt in your mouth and you're doing this and like, oh, fool, I stand in front of cop cars with a blunt in my mouth doing this. What? What are you going to do? And it's like, oh, well, I was like only like, I was 20 and I know. And yeah, you're not getting a job. There's a lot of people that are like, no, tiger doesn't change its stripes. They can't afford this. They can't afford it. They can't afford to trust you. That's the secret. It's bonds. Black violence is being shined on because of bonds. If those bonds don't pay off, if you can't fool the suckers, then you're done. And keep in mind, these bonds aren't going to pay. None of them are going to pay off. None of them. City after city after city after city after city. These pension programs are going to collapse. City after city after city, state after state after state, they're going to collapse. And this is the thing that nobody see. At some point, somebody reads enough of the alt-right to figure this one out, or they finally get to the story. They finally get to something where they're sitting there going, wait a second. If everywhere where Black Americans are committing tremendous amounts of violence, but it's being hidden by journalists through euphemism, identities of perpetrators are being kept out of news stories because of city councils saying that they won't give people access to City Hall if they are reporting the race of all the Black people committing crime. They start figuring this out. They start figuring out the whole bond thing. And then they figure out, oh my God, this is what's going to happen when these people can't retire. What's going to happen when my generation, who bought all those rap albums, all those white people who put the Chronic over the top, all those white people who were into the Fugees, all those white people who made the Source what it became. What are you going to do about them? How are you going to keep their allegiances and their alliances? You think Matty Iglesias, even though that Buster got knocked out like a mark, and won't admit that the knockout game exists? I think busters like that are forever going to keep eating shit. No, at some point, even pleated chino girl thigh motherfuckers like that are going to figure it out. And they're going to be pissed. And there's a lot of people who they're figuring this out. They're going, oh no. At some point, it's going to be a generation are going to look and they're going to see the Democrats, and they're going to see the Democrats' favorite mascot. They're going to see all these secular, non-religious Jewish reporters, and they're going to be asking a whole lot of questions. Why did you guys lie about this? Why are you people so violent? Why is it that you people in particular not just cover this up, but you will attack anybody who actually has facts on the issue? You attack them en masse as if you have a cabal or some conspiracy going. The reaction is started, and it's not going to stop. And there's a lot of people who are smart enough to realize this is bad. This is going to get worse. This is going to get real bad. It's going to get much worse because people are royally pissed. They have friends who've gotten beaten up. They have relatives who've been shot. They've had people there's people who, a lot of people who are immigrants who are getting targeted. So they're this sort of voiceless group. They're not voiceless. They're making their complaints in their language to their people. Their people will organize. I remember when the Asians in San Francisco organized back in the late 80s, early 90s, and stopped taking that shit from the blacks for a while. It was an ugly fucking scene in the streets. Ugly. And it's coming. More of that's coming. And it's not going to be, some oopa-doopa people with their pants falling down dancing in front of burning shit. No, it's going to be that there will be, it'll be the crimes you won't hear about. You won't hear about a ring of robbers apparently being like killed by somebody, that somebody just killed a bunch of guys who are apparently involved in a bunch of burglaries. There will be no one will know exactly what happened. That's how it works. That's how the Chinese do it. Oh, they've been stealing everything in the neighborhood. We're not afraid of black people. I still remember one guy, Michael Mack. I ain't afraid of those niggas. Niggas know I ain't afraid of them, And he goes, yeah, Chinese gangster who has no problem saying the word nigger at top volume in San Francisco, California. Guarantee you, no. There's a reason you don't fuck with him. There's a good reason you don't fuck with a guy like that. He is more than willing to do what it takes to teach you respect, And people learn that the hard way. And that hard way is coming, because there's going to be millions of people who are going to be like, I'm not going to get paid out because of these black people like fucking around. They like doing all this stupid shit. They like burning things. And then all these white liberal communists. This is coming. You've fucked with the fundamental forces of nature, and it's coming. That's why the cities tolerate this shit. Because they need to make those numbers look good for the bond rating. They need to make those numbers look good for insurance and reinsurance. And if those numbers look bad, if the stories look bad, after that baseball game, people walked out, there was a giant riot, and that you have all these white journalists and secular Jews lying about this shit, that it's done. This is fucking done. It's going to take a few more years, but this shit is over.